Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics, and in this video, I'd like to discuss how Nigel Farage has seemingly pivoted seamlessly from attacking Labour supporters for giving up their free time and spending their own money to help Democrats campaign to disappearing off to America again to campaign for the Republicans, without even doing so in his free time or with his own money. What? Nigel Farage being a hypocrite again? No way. But first, for daily political commentary, please click the subscribe button so you don't miss out. So, after the Daily Telegraph tried to make something of Labour staffers using their annual leave to campaign in America, using their own money to do so, as they do, have done for years going back, and after, of course, Donald Trump launched his legal action, Nigel Farage decided to jump on the bandwagon by attacking his absolutely disgraceful behaviour. Is it interference? It is. Only, of course, Nigel Farage famously campaigns in America for the Republicans, has done so for many years. He doesn't just use his own time and money to do so either. You'd have thought he'd have quietly sat this one out, wouldn't you? But no. He's obviously so desperate to get back into Trump's inner circle that he never misses an opportunity to lick his boots. But doing so, of course, invited a lot of questions about his own very obvious campaigning activities. For example, we know he accepted £32,000 from a political donor in order to travel to America on a couple of occasions to try and get a photo opportunity with Trump after the first assassination attempt. This seemed to include his visit to the Republican convention. He's been back to America since to be paid to speak at a loony convention, and he's going back for a fourth time since becoming an MP in order to be the main speaker at a Republican fundraiser in the week leading up to the presidential election. But before we get onto that, let's look at Farage's campaigning just for this election so far, in contrast with the Labour activists doing likewise. So the Labour staff and activists going to America are taking annual leave to do so. The activities are not being done as part of their jobs with the Labour Party. Nigel Farage missed the King's speech for one of his campaign trips, one of the times MPs are expected to be in Parliament. He's not going to America during his holiday times. He's going when Parliament is in session, and he's either supposed to be attending Parliament or back in his constituency serving the needs of the people who voted for him. Of course, there are no hard and fast rules for MPs. As, you know, MPs are, however, expected to take their holidays during periods of recess. The Labour staff are also funding all of their own expenses, including travel. The Labour Party are not paying anything towards it. The Democrat Party are not paying towards it. Farage has funded his campaign activities with political donations. Not that we know the full extent of his funding, because although he has included some of it on his register of members' interest, he has missed out some little trips as well. In one bizarre interview this week with Farage, he tried to claim that he went to America in a purely personal capacity, he says. But this isn't true, because he was campaigning while he was there. And he attended political campaign events. Also, he accepted tens of thousands of pounds in political donations to fund the trips. A strictly personal capacity would have meant paying himself. Also, a strictly personal capacity would have been a low-key visit to meet Donald Trump and check that his best mate was all right, then back to good old Blighty. But Farage never met Trump. So what was he doing? He went twice. What was he doing if he didn't actually meet Trump? Can't have been for a personal capacity. It was all about campaign purposes. And he did campaign while he was there. All he has to do is talk about why Americans should vote for Trump. And he's campaigning. That is the definition of campaigning. But also, when he was pressed about who paid for his flight then, he said a friend gave him a free lift. Now, a couple of obvious things here. First, it's a free lift. So is he suggesting he took a freebie then? Something else he's been criticising of others. But also, so let's say actually he was going to the airport and he was going to buy his own ticket, and then a friend said, I got a private plane, why don't you just hop on that instead? The flight still had value. I mean, someone still paid for the pilot and the fuel and the airport fees. But also, you know, the flight has value, and MPs are required to register the value of gifts even if no money is involved. You know, so the so-called freebies that MPs have been getting, you know, often there's no money changed hands at all, but they still have to put down what it would have cost if they'd have bought it themselves. Second, is this the same Nigel Farage who claims to be a man of the working people? He needs a last-minute trip to the United States and just so happens to have a friend who will fly him privately with no advance notice. Really? How many ordinary people can do that? But anyway, he's off again now. And this time, there's no way he can even pretend it's a personal capacity, which was always rubbish anyway. As I say, he was campaigning there. He's going to America, again while Parliament's in session, and his constituents want him to carry out surgeries, which he's not doing. And he's going specifically to speak at a Republican event. He's going to be the main speaker, the headline speaker at the Young Republican Club Gala dinner. Nigel Farage is 60 years old. Like, what's the average age of Republicans if he's considered young? And if he's not considered young, if you go, Philip, don't be stupid, Philip. He's just going to speak to them. It's like, okay, so what you're saying is that there are no actual young Republicans worth listening to at a Young Republican fundraiser. Is that what you're saying? The Mirror reported that tickets for this event cost anything from $500 to $30,000. I'm also presuming that Farage is being paid to speak at the event. After all, it's clearly a fundraiser and, you know, he's the headline speaker. But we don't know that. Let's work on the basis that he is doing it for free, or at least he's not charging a fee. We know other people are paying for his flights, accommodation, meals and all the rest of it, right? It's still political campaigning. It's political campaigning which is being funded by other people and will amount to way more than Labour staffers are spending of their own money. In fact, if we add up all the money political donors are giving Farage specifically to be in America during this presidential election year, that will exceed by some distance all of the money being spent by the roughly 100 Labour staff doing so in their own time with their own money combined. I also notice in the Mirror report that Farage tried to excuse these speaking engagements by saying, oh, you know, these were organised before the election, so I have to honour them, of course. It's like, oh, yeah, okay. But he said that he had nothing confirmed after the new year. So what you're saying then, Nigel, is that you will not be engaging in any speaking events from next year, unless, of course, they take place while Parliament is in recess and you take it in your holiday time. Is that what he's saying? That sounds like what he's saying. That he won't be doing any foreign speaking events at all when he's supposed to be in Westminster. I think I'll believe that when I see it. What we actually have here, though, is we have the leader of a political party, and as Farage will himself point out, the political party that garnered the third greatest share of the vote in this year's general election. The leader of that party. And now, of course, a member of the UK's main legislative assembly. Carrying out political campaigns in America, being given tens of thousands of pounds from political donations in order to do so. And he has the nerve to attack a few ordinary British citizens for doing so in their own free time with their own money. And why do his supporters think it's acceptable, anyway, to campaign in a foreign country for a foreign organisation, whilst ignoring the people who voted him into office in this country and now need him to do the job he promised to do for them? You know, but they will keep believing that he's playing some masterful long game whereby he has to, of course, screw them over in the short term because eventually he'll get them everything they want, despite the fact that the only people who have ever benefited from anything Nigel Farage has ever done are those with a lot of zeros on their bank balance. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, you can join for memberships. Thanks for watching. And until next time, I'll see you later.